welcome back to my YouTube. So today's video is going to be a lot different than videos that I have posted before. This is specifically going to be about anxiety because as much as I love posting pregnancy videos, there has a lot to do with this specific topic that I struggle with as a mom, as a second-time mom, and just in general, me having anxiety and the struggles that I go through having anxiety. So I kind of just wanted to sit on here and talk to you guys a little bit about my anxiety story and how much anxiety can really affect you, and kind of just like where I'm at with my anxiety and how it really has affected me in life, relationship wise, and being a mom, being a second time mom, and just in general everything, and how it has affected me mentally and physically and emotionally. So I wanted to just be super transparent and just come on here and talk about a topic that I struggle with the most, and I feel like I don't talk about this a lot, and I should, because this is something that I have struggled with for a couple of years now, and it has honestly changed my life for the worst. It has definitely made me a different person than how I used to be, and I'm not the same like how I used to be, and it's hard for me, and especially in my relationship, there's so many things that happen that cause my anxiety to just flare up, and it just makes things even worse. Even when we got back together with the breakup, it's been really hard for, since we've been together, because, my anxiety ruins a lot of things for me, and it's hard. So I basically just wanted to come on here and kind of talk to you guys a little bit about my anxiety story, how it happened, where I'm at, and just really come on here and tell you guys what it's really like, and about how anxiety is literally no joke. It can really change a person's perspective from positive to negative. It can change a person's life from positive to negative in such a split second, and it happens so quickly. So I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about it. So it all started in high school. I had at least not that I knew, I had no problems with anxiety or depression or hyperventilation. I had no problems with any of that until I reached high school. Now, it was my 9th grade year of high school, and that was the first time I ever experienced a panic attack. And I knew it was a panic attack because it was something that I've never experienced in my life. I remember we were having a test, and it was probably like the middle of 9th grade. I can't remember if it was the middle of 9th grade or if it was the end of 9th grade, and it was a test that we had to pass in order to pass 9th grade. So I can't fully remember, but I remember it was a really big test coming up, and I panicked. I don't know what happened that day, but I flipped out. I was shaking. I was breathing really heavily. I was just worried. I was freaking out. I told one of my, not really my teachers, she was kind of like a teacher specifically for me. If you're a IEP student, you know what an IEP is. Basically, IEP students are a bit different than regular students. They need a little bit more help. So they usually have a coworker with you, which is a teacher, or someone who specializes in IEP, just to kind of help you through some things that you struggle with. And all throughout school, I was an IEP student, so I always had a teacher or someone who specialized in IEP to be there next to me, or to take me out of class when we had tests and to put me in a smaller group for testing, to let me use notes for testing. So certain things like that they were very lenient about with IEP students because they struggled a little bit more. So I remember that day. Are you okay, baby? Did you fall? What happened? You fall. You okay? You okay? I love you. Hey. You okay? Say hi to the camera. Okay. See the light? Come down a little bit more. There you go. Look right there. Look at you, so pretty. Look at you, so pretty. So anyways, I was an IEP student, so I had certain things happen when it came to tests or when it came to taking notes, certain things like that to help me. And I remember that the teacher had wanted me to be in the room. She didn't want me for some reason to go out and take a test and use my notes. She was against it for some reason, and obviously IEP, it's like basically the law, you have to follow it, but for some reason my teacher didn't want to follow it, and I feel like that had a lot to do with my panic. And I remember my IEP teacher brought me into a smaller room and I had to take the test. That was the first time I ever had a panic attack, possibly an anxiety attack. All I know is it was some attack of something because I've never experienced a situation like that in my life. And I have had to take tests. Obviously, when you're in school, you have to take multiple tests. And as soon as I reached high school, that's when it really, really hit me at the most, was 9th grade, that one specific day. And we kind of just discussed what happened and why I experienced what I experienced. And I just remember talking to myself and talking to my parents that day of what happened to me. Why was I panicking? What was that called? And my parents were telling me, anxiety could be, that you were just worried too much. And I looked up anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and I knew that that's exactly what I had experienced. And I was questioning what happened. I've never had anxiety before. I've always been fine with certain things. And once when high school came around, it's like everything just became too much for me. There would be days where I would wake up in the morning and I can't find my shoes, or I couldn't find my socks, or I couldn't figure out an outfit to put together that day. And it almost was a feeling of panic, like I was in a rush when I knew that I wasn't. I would wake up really early for school, and probably a little too early for school, and I would be ready within like an hour before I had to go. And I would just freak out, and this like feeling of panic would come to me when I wouldn't be able to find certain things, or when my hair would get in my face and I'm trying to put on my clothes, or when the radio, or like when music is being played and then my parents and my family were talking at the same time the music was being played, and it was just giving me this feeling of the walls are kind of closing in, and I felt like squished, and I felt panicked, and kind of like forced, if that makes any sense. And it happened a lot throughout my ninth grade year, of when I really started realizing I might possibly have an anxiety disorder, because I've never been so irritated of something so much until high school. And I would say it had nothing to do with no one other than just the tests were really hard for me, and that's when I really experienced the pain of anxiety and the thought of, you know, pressure, almost the thought of kind of feeling pushed down, held down, and not being able to kind of get myself back up, if that makes any sense. So ninth grade year is when I first noticed I had anxiety. Now my 10th grade year was when it hit me the hardest, just because I'm not going to talk much about this person because they don't deserve attention from me and they don't deserve for me to speak on them. But before I met my boyfriend, there was this person that I liked, and I met him in 10th grade, and he had really messed me up mentally and emotionally. He didn't like hit me or anything, but you know, physically I was just really sad. I was really down, and I tried doing things to myself. I was really depressed, and you know, I was cutting, and I really hit a depression stage because, keep in mind, I was messing around with this kid for all 2 years of my high school years, and it was just a constant battle, and it was very hard because we weren't together. So it was hard for me because I've never been in a relationship, so it was hard for me to accept that, you know, he's playing around, he's doing all of this, and I'm over here getting played with as well. So I was just getting juggled around for those 2 years. And my 10th grade year was when I really hit my hardest state of anxiety and depression. And I just remember constantly being in the counselor's office talking about my feelings and having my little attacks, my little moments, my little episodes in the counselor's office. And it's almost like a feeling of someone holding your heart and just crushing it slowly. And you know, even breathing was getting hard a little bit, and you know, there were times where I would shake and my hands would shake, and I can't stand still. I wouldn't be able to stand still, and I have these thousands of thoughts in my head, and it's all negative thoughts. There has been thoughts about suicide so many times with my anxiety. There has been thoughts about, you know, forgetting about love. There has been thoughts about me dropping out of school. There has been thoughts about me just being homeless and just calling it a day and just whatever. And there has been thoughts of me overdosing. So there's so many things that went through my mind when I experienced anxiety, and when I really hit my core of anxiety, when I really hit it hard. Rock bottom was my 10th grade year and my 11th grade year, and I feel like the guy really triggered it the most because he was playing with my emotions. Like I said, I was getting juggled around with my emotions. My love was just getting juggled around as well, getting played with, and it was hard to focus on school and hard to focus on myself. There were times where I would come home and I wouldn't eat. There were times where I would come home and I wouldn't sleep. There were times where I would cry in the corner and have my little panic attack or my anxiety attack, shaking and hyperventilating, just breathing so fast, not being able to control my breath. Almost feels like I was just constantly crying, and I just felt this negative emotion hit me so hard that I felt like I had no control over controlling that emotion. So it hit me really hard, and those years is when my anxiety was the worst of the worst. After high school, when I got pregnant, that helped a lot, and it kept me from not dropping out. And I graduated when I was pregnant with my daughter, so she was really my main motivation to keep going in school and to just focus on what I want to do in life. And she was a main part of it, and so was my boyfriend. I had met my boyfriend in kind of the beginning of my 12th grade year, but not the beginning. But I met him in my 12th grade year, and that's when I had gotten pregnant, and COVID happened, so I had to do work here at the house. I had to do school at the house. Then we had to go back to school, and that's when I went back to school and graduated and got my diploma. Now, after is how I had mentioned how mine and my boyfriend's relationship was in the way beginning. I was the worst I've ever been in my life, and the worst I've ever experienced anxiety ever in life. Now, because that guy did, really mess around and played with my emotions so heavily, it made trust become so difficult for me, for anybody. And when I had met my boyfriend Brandon, it was hard for me to let him go to work and be okay with him talking to girls when I was just so insecure. And keep in mind, when you have an anxiety and you're insecure, it's like your anxiety knows that you're insecure and you have these insecurities, and it uses it against you, and it almost just feels like you're being threatened every day by this little voice in my head called anxiety that just brings me down every day. When I look at myself in the mirror, there's this little voice, ew, you're ugly, like so many girls are so much better than you, someone could attract Brandon more than you, you're nothing important. Just this negative thought, and it has never been positive. Ever since I've had anxiety, there's been these thoughts of negativity, these thoughts about suicide, these thoughts about not worthy enough, these thoughts about really putting myself down the lowest I've ever put myself down before. And I'm not saying that I was super confident in the beginning. No, I did have some insecurities about myself. But ever since I experienced anxiety and I have anxiety, it's at a point where I really don't like myself anymore. And I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way my body looks. I don't like the way I present myself sometimes. I don't like the way I am. And it's just all of these negative thoughts, and it just continues and continues and continues. It's like a cycle of something different every day, but it's something negative every single day. And it's never positive. It's never good. So there's days where I will wake up in the morning and look at myself in the mirror, and that little thought will be like, you're ugly, or you look at your hair, or you this and that and that. And I'm totally against surgery and changing my body because I know that no one is like me, and I am unique in some sort of way. I'm different than every other woman. And my anxiety at times where I find myself very insecure is when my anxiety really peaks in the most and just really shoves me down and kind of bullies me and tells me all of these thoughts that just break me down and get me feeling the way I feel. And there are times where I would fight with my boyfriend, and my anxiety will turn into something crazy. I will turn into this person that I've never seen myself become. This angry person who just wants to become physical and just wants to hit and wants to yell and wants to scream and wants to say all these things and believes that all of this is happening and believes that he's not being loyal and believes that, you know, he's doing this. And I know that it's true when I have no evidence, and it's so hard because it's like my anxiety forces these thoughts into my head that I don't want to have, and I know that aren't true, but it's like I feel as though I have no control over it. And my anxiety is like I'm their puppet. I'm the puppet to anxiety, and it just follows me everywhere I go. It's kind of like a shadow. It follows me everywhere I go, and whenever it sees that I'm feeling some sort of way or I'm a little insecure, it starts like talking in my ear, and it starts kind of escalating the situation worse than what it is. And it's very difficult at times to try to be positive when you have this little voice, this little thing that just constantly wants to tear you down. And I have not figured out a way to control my anxiety, and I'm still struggling with. Here, you want me to turn on? There. Cutie. And I'm still struggling with trying to cope with my anxiety and trying to cope with, you know, overthinking and having all of these problems happen to me. I feel like I have this change in my life that I really don't enjoy in life. And I'm not saying I'm like suicidal now or anything like that. I am very happy with where I'm at, but I do have my times where I am depressed and I am really sad because this never happened to me before. And it's like ever since anxiety came into my life, everything just came crashing down. You know, my relationship was very hard. Just trying to be a happy person, waking up every morning, trying to be happy, it's so hard. Waking up every morning, trying to love my man, and then I see one little thing and then I get anxiety on top of hyperventilation, on top of a panic attack, and then I have an anxiety attack, and then it's just all of these things all at once. And I almost feel like separation anxiety. I've gone to the doctors and they said that I could have GED. I haven't fully been diagnosed with it. I need to go somewhere specifically for anxiety and get diagnosed with it. I know I have it because this has changed my life very negative, and it has changed me very negative and has changed the way I look at things in life. And it's hard to go about my day, or it's hard to go about everyday things when I'm struggling to find happiness, when I have this shadow following me, making me feel like I'm not it, making me become this angry person, this person that I don't even know who is it. You know, I see myself when I'm at my angriest times, and I tell myself, am I really Marcella? I remember being so happy, and I remember being so joyful when I wake up in the morning. And it's like, since anxiety has hit me, it's like I don't wake up happy anymore. I wake up and there's one thought that comes to my head, and then a million thoughts just come into my head, and it's all negative things. Like sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, the room's a mess, and I'll get mad because the room's a mess. And then on top of that, I'll like get triggered from other little things. Oh, I have to go to work and I can't find clothes. Oh, I'm sweating. Or just certain things like that. I just get triggered for everything in life now. And I never used to have a problem with being in the car, having the radio on, and talking. And it's gotten to a point where now I have to put down the volume in order to speak to you. Or I have to put down the volume in order to hear you. And it's a lot, especially with a kid. You know, her toys, like for example what was going on right now, was giving me a little bit of anxiety because, you know, there's the toy going on, the loud noise, and then the TV's going on in the back, and then I'm talking. So it's like a slight pressure feeling of kind of feeling like the walls are slightly closing in on me, and I just feel like someone's trying to trap me in a box is what it feels like. And it's really hard. I can't say that anxiety has changed my life for the better, because it really has not. My life has really became the worst it's ever been, and I hate it. I don't enjoy this life that I have now, and I've struggled a lot since 9th grade all the way till now. So I have struggled a lot with doing daily things. If you guys ever wonder why I have my hair up all of the time, it has gotten to a point where having my hair down and doing things such as cleaning, such as just walking in the wind blows my hair in my face, it actually gives me anxiety. It makes me feel angry. Like I get super frustrated at my own hair. I get very frustrated. And so that's why I constantly have my hair up, because it's so thick. It gets in the way all the time, and it frustrates me very much. And I will scream and I will yell due to the fact that my hair is in my face. And that has never happened before. Before 9th grade, I was always okay with having my hair down and having it in my face and being okay with it and whatever. Having the window down and having my hair down and just having it all over the place. But lately, since 9th grade, it's like I can't have that anymore. It triggers me very much. It gives me that feeling that I know is anxiety. It's that pressure feeling, that feeling trapped, feeling almost like a puppet, and I'm just kind of following along with the shadow, and it's just there trying to sabotage everything in my life and trying to really bring me down to the lowest that I've been in life, and to just keep pushing me down as low as it can get me. And I have not gotten to a point where I have came to a decision to end my life, because I don't want to end my life. As much as this is very hard to live my life, I want to find a way to overcome anxiety. And I've looked up so many videos of how to overcome. So I've looked up so many videos on how to overcome anxiety, and I haven't quite figured out my way of how to overcome anxiety that's worked for me the best. Nothing has worked yet, so I'm kind of still in that track, in that path of learning how to do it all on my own and figuring out how to get over these little negative thoughts and how to push them aside and ignore them and just enjoy life for what it is, and to not let it get to me as much as it gets to me every single day of my life to try to remember what it was like before I experienced anxiety. So I just wanted to come on here and kind of just be honest with you guys and tell you guys what anxiety really is like. And it's honestly no joke. When I was younger, when I heard people say anxiety and this and that and that, I always thought it was just people overreacting and people just being dramatic. And it wasn't until I experienced my own anxiety, my own problems, my own panic attacks, my own anxiety attacks, is when I really noticed that anxiety is no joke, and it can really change a person for the worst and can really change a person's life negatively. So as me coming onto here, I just wanted to tell you guys that I do struggle with anxiety, and I have struggled with anxiety since 9th grade all the way up until now. So about 5 years I've had anxiety, and I've experienced the worst of the worst, and I have had some really scary panic attacks. When I had mentioned the time where I somewhat fainted, I feel like that had to do with a really severe panic attack, and that is a really scary moment that I never want to happen in my life ever again. And I don't know the cause of it, I don't know what happened, and I don't know how or what caused it to happen. So I live with cautious with life every day. I try not to let these words get to me to create negative space around me and to create a negative person. And I just want to be happy and live my life the way I want to live it, and just to stop stressing over every single thing in life. And it's hard, it's not easy. When people say control your anxiety, it's not as simple as people think it is, and it's hard because a lot of people don't really understand what it's like to control anxiety and what it's like to control those thoughts and those emotions, and what the reality of it really is, that it's harder than people think. And now that I've experienced it, it really is hard, and it almost feels like you have no control over it. And there has been times where I feel like I have no control over my anxiety, and I feel like the anxiety has more control over me, and I need to find a way to be in control of my anxiety, so that way I don't have these negative thoughts and these negative emotions come to me. So I am still in the process of trying to learn and figure things out with anxiety, and trying to build a better me and push away those thoughts and that little shadow that follows me for, who knows, probably the rest of my life. And to push it all away and ignore it and find my happiness. And I haven't quite gotten to that point yet, but I wanted to come on here and tell you guys that don't give up. As much as life can be very challenging in itself, and having anxiety on top of the things that are going on, it just makes life harder. But don't give up. There's a purpose to everything, I believe, and I do feel like I will be able to come to something. I will be able to figure it out. Maybe not at the moment, but I will figure it out. I just need to find out what works for me when I do have anxiety and go from there. So sorry if this video was a little bit more on the sadder side. I didn't mean to come off as like depressed, but this is something that I do struggle with, and I know that a lot of people struggle with anxiety as well. And you know, anxiety has to do a lot with negative things in life and can really tear down a relationship as well. And I just want to come on here and tell you guys that, you know, I do struggle here and there. I'm not the best of the best all of the time. I'm not as productive as I seem to be sometimes, and it's really hard. But like I said, I'm just trying to balance everything out together and push aside the anxiety and just focus on life for what it is and what I have it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys got something from this, or if you guys have anxiety and you are struggling as well and have figured out a coping mechanism, please go ahead and put it in the comments. Maybe I can try your technique. Or maybe you're struggling like me and you haven't found your technique yet. Let's figure it out together, and let's just take everything one step at a time and just go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.